But I think when people are entering this world of influencing, it doesn't matter like how nice you are. You are still going to get hate regardless.
Yes.
So you have to make peace with that and understand that the content you're making and why you're doing it is not for the people who are looking for a reason to hate you. It's for other people who need you.
Hey everybody, Steve Bertoni from Forbes. Welcome to Top Creators. I am psyched today to have on our show author, creator, TikToker, Instagrammer, podcaster, soon-to-be Hollywood star, Drew Afualo. Drew, thank you for joining us. You're be a keynote speaker at Under 30 Summit. What's going on? Like you came off an engagement, but who cares about that? You just came off a book tour, best-selling book tour.
Yes.
Tell me what's been going on? What's exciting?
I mean, haven't slept in like 3 years, but feeling good, feeling accomplished. I've just been really busy, and it's been amazing.
How many hours of sleep a night do you need?
Do I need? I mean, at least 2. Have I had lately? Averaging between like 2 to 8.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
depends on what I'm doing.
You can function on 2 hours like more than one night?
Yeah. I mean, you have no choice sometimes.
I got you. What's your do you have are you a caffeine person in the morning?
Yeah, I do love a good coffee. I love a good energy drink. But I feel like as I get older, I'm a lot more like, I got to drink water first. I got to make sure I eat a good breakfast first. As I get older, your stomach starts to go. Please,
you're 29. You got plenty. You got plenty of time. What was the most, before you're about to start writing your book and the book tour, if you could go on a time machine, what advice would you give yourself before you started it? What's like the biggest surprise you had?
I mean, I would tell myself to trust that whatever the universe has in store for me is meant for me, because I am a Virgo, which means I have a lot of plans. So, when my plans don't go according to the exact detailed way I planned them, I tend to freak out. And so my plan went completely left after college, and thankfully it worked out for the absolute best. Like, I'm so grateful it worked out that way.
You really believe in the signs and stuff, Virgo and
totally,
astrological?
Absolutely.
So what's a Virgo like?
Virgos are neurotic and know-it-alls, but very hardworking, very successful.
Okay, that works.
Obviously.
That works. I'm a Capricorn. Everyone says Capricorns are like serious or something. I don't know. It's a goat. I know it's a goat. It's a goat.
I'll be honest with you, Steve. I've talked a lot of shit on Capricorns.
Why? What's the rap?
Well, my hair and makeup artist and my cousin Adam's a Capricorn too, who I love very dearly.
Sorry.
I have a hate-love relationship with Capricorns, but I just think Capricorns are very engaging. People tend to gravitate towards them and like them. But I think Capricorns can pretend they never cared about you ever in your entire life, like within an hour, and I find that to be a Batman villain origin story. So
that could work. That'd be a movie, The Capricorns.
Yeah.
You talked about your life going off a path. Let's take it back. I love how you studied journalism. You wanted to be a journalist.
Yes.
Take me to that. So you went to school in Hawaii.
Yes. Okay. I went to the University of Hawaii and I majored in journalism and communications, and based off just like the history of sports in my family and football players, and I really wanted to work in professional sports.
Let's go back to that. So family and a big NFL family.
Yeah, well, in the sense that like my dad played in the NFL.
Oh, okay, very cool. What did he play? Who did he play for? What position?
He played left guard for the Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
And my dad started playing, like for the very first time, started playing football in junior college when he was like 21, and then
never played before.
No, which is a very common occurrence for a lot of Samoan men. Like they just are naturally athletic and agile. I don't know. The build just lends towards football. Yes. So my dad got recruited just walking around campus, and so he learned how to play football. Got a full ride after 2 years at the JC, and then got drafted in the 7th round.
That's amazing.
Like 2001, and so my dad went to the league, but it didn't last very long because I think my dad was like 27, 28 at the time, so which is like 100 in NFL years, especially at the time. So his career didn't last very long, and so just growing up and being around that a lot. I grew up in a Samoan family, so I know a lot of men who went to the NFL. Yeah, I know a lot of men who are currently in the NFL.
I mean, the numbers are incredible. I remember there's a famous Sports Illustrated story probably like a decade ago about the percentage of Samoan like high school kids that go and play D1 football.
Yeah.
And then just you hear all the names in the NFL, and like I looked this up before the talk and on Wikipedia, so don't fact check me. But I think like the population of quote like Samoan is like 200,000 people.
Yeah.
Maybe. And the percentage of people that go on to the NFL.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
It's remarkable. It's got to be the highest like community.
Totally.
Into, it's insane.
Like when I was early in college, I did a story on that and how like the percentage of men are like 5 times more likely than any other race to go. Based off how many there are of us in the world per capita, that number makes no sense. So,
you did the research.
Yeah. So I've been around football my entire life. So I just thought like sports are in my blood, and I really like to talk. So maybe sports is the way. Yeah. And so I pursued that. That's what I focused on. What
would be your dream job? Do you want to be like on? Would you want to be like on Sports Center back in the day?
Yeah, I wanted to be like Bob Costas.
Okay.
Like I wanted to be a commentator. I wanted to stand there and be like, and give my thoughts. I wanted to be like Cheyenne Tafoya, like a sideline reporter. Yeah. And so, in college, I did all the jobs I had. I tried to make sure were within the realm of sports journalism. So I worked in media relations. I worked at the athletic department. I worked at the school newspaper, and then I became the sports editor of the sports desk at my school newspaper. And so while I was there, I worked the last Pro Bowl that was in Hawaii.
Oh, very cool.
I worked the Utah Jazz game, which was against the Lakers. So I met Kobe and Meta and all of them. So I did a lot of things in college. And my senior year capstone thesis was done on Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
So because when I was a senior, he had just gone to Alabama. So I got in contact with his family. I followed him for 3-4 months. I went to his first 8A game in Alabama and Tuscaloosa. There ain't shit out there, by the way. There's nothing to do. No wonder they love football.
Just football. That's
There
it.
is nothing to do out there. So I followed him there. I did a whole long form narrative story on him, and that story is actually the story that got me hired at the NFL.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
you guys, are you still close to? I know he's going through a really tough time right now.
Yeah.
It's scary.
I don't know if close is the word. I mean, like I followed him for a while, and I talked to his mom and his dad. But I believed that me being someone and them being someone, it helped them feel more comfortable talking to me. So that story is actually what got me hired, and I worked at the NFL for a short time.
Yeah, but you said you got laid off. It was COVID. There was no NFL.
No, I got fired.
You got fired. Okay, tell me about fired. That. What'd you do?
I can't talk about what I did.
Fired with cause?
No, honestly. No, there was no cause. They got rid of me. They asked me to leave. I said, okay. So it didn't work out the way that I was hoping it would at the time. Because to be quite honest with you, when I got there, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to really love my job there because I love sports, and I, was hired for a very specific reason. So I thought I was doing a good job. And I like to compare it. Like I had worked my entire college career, high school, everything up until that point, and I did it all to get there.
Wow.
And then it's almost like I compare it to like I climbed the mountain and I just didn't like the view. Like when I got up there, I was really unhappy at that job, like the entire time I was there.
And that's really hard when you worked so hard to get something, and it's like meeting your heroes.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What was your role? Like what was like you're supposed to be your day in the life at the NFL? Like what were you doing?
Well, first off, I was driving 2.5 hours one way because I didn't live in LA at the time.
Okay, where'd you live?
And so I lived in like Inland Empire area. So I lived about literally 2.5 hours. So to get there at 9, I would wake up at 4, and then I would get ready, and I would leave my house by like 5:30.
You need to find like a friend with a couch or something.
That I drove 2.5 hours one way and 2.5 hours the other way. So I was driving around 6 to 7 hours. I put like 100,000 miles on my car in that.
All your salary was going to gas.
Yeah, and I had no healthcare. So just driving for fun. Yeah. Like you ever drive so much that you just like stop listening to music? I just would sit in silence. I was like, that sucks. Like I'm just sitting in silence.
Just cruise control. And but once you got there, what were you supposed? Like I know you were on social media there. What were you doing? What was you supposed to do?
I was just creating content for them, trying to come up with posts that made sense.
Like you as a star?
No, not at all. No, I was like, just basically a person who came up with ideas for posts or captions or whatnot, all of those random things to try and grow a following.
Well, that led to good things. So you got laid off.
Yes.
And we were doing another under 30 interview, and a guy had a great job, and he's like, but I wanted to start a company, so I quit, but I didn't have an idea because I thought if I didn't have a job, it would force me to have an idea.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty gutsy.
Right, yeah.
And in some ways, like COVID, lockdown, no job, like that gave you that opportunity to start branching out. So tell me about when you started making videos.
Yeah.
What was that spark?
I mean, when I was working at the NFL, my family and my fiance were all own their own businesses, so they were working for themselves. And my family and my fiance all knew how unhappy I was.
What kind of businesses were they?
My parents work in a financial consultant business.
Okay.
My fiance has a personal training business.
Nice.
So it was like everyone was working for themselves except for me.
Yeah.
And so my mom had told me many times, like, you're never going to work harder for anyone than you do for yourself. And if you have no choice, you have no choice,
Yeah.
right? So it is, obviously, this job does require you to be self-motivated to some extent. You have to be very disciplined to do this for a living. There's just way too much freedom for you to not to be.
Yeah.
So I think when I first started making videos, obviously, it was just for fun. It was just to be creative at the time. And then as it started compounding on itself, that was really when I was like, I think I could like do something with this. I remember having a conversation with my mom about it. And I told my parents, like, once it really started growing and growing quickly, I told them, just give me like 6 months. I think I'm going to take 6 months. I'm really going to commit to this.
So you didn't have a job. You were at home and,
No.
and making TikToks.
Yes.
And your parents like.
I was living off savings at the time.
Savings, and your parents like, cool, go for it. Or
Yeah,
were they
my-
like, why don't you come to the financial business
Yeah,
with us?
they knew that would always be there.
Yeah.
So like they were like, if it doesn't work, you can go get another job or you could do this. Like, it's really up to you. They trust that I know because I've always been on a very specific path. So
Yeah.
they knew I was going to do something. And so I told them, I think I'm going to commit 6 months to this. And almost 6 months to the day, I hit 1 million on TikTok and I got signed.
Yeah.
So it worked out, thank God.
How'd you come up with your kind of internet character? Because I know it's you, but it's like, I'm a big Curb Your Enthusiasm fan.
Oh, yeah.
And Larry David's like, the Larry you see on TV is like a hyper version of me. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
like that in real life.
Yeah.
And we spent time together and you're
Yeah.
always very chill and
Yeah.
charming. Maybe I haven't pissed you off yet. I had said something stupid. But like, how did you kind of come up with this oversized personality
Yeah.
on TikTok? Was it
I think-
happen by accident or something you thought out of?
I mean, I think I just started recording myself and then just kind of leaning into it a little
Okay.
bit. I mean, I think obviously when you work in corporate America, like, you have to be to some extent, especially as someone who looks and presents the way I do, and working in sports, I had to be a very muted version of myself in order to like survive. And that was probably the worst thing that job took for me, was like my spark, my sparkle.
You felt like you had to be subdued?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because you have to blend in. Like, you have to, because it was very, it's a business unlike any in entertainment. It's very competitive, and there's a lot of nepotism involved in it too. And it's very like, it's a scarcity mindset. That's how
Gotcha.
it runs.
Yeah.
So if someone has, that means it's taking from me. I personally don't move through life like that.
Yeah,
I don't
also-
think.
yeah. And it's
you
a sexy
can.
job where like people would
Yeah.
do it for free. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
there's
figured
a lot of
was the
draw
NFL
there.
pretty diverse? The business side of it when you were on?
No. I don't know if that's shocking to hear.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I was one of the most diverse people who worked there. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
So that's not saying much, but
Because the product is very diverse.
yeah. You would think.
Yes, okay.
It would be more diverse. Yeah, you would think. It's not.
So you're making these videos and you
Yeah.
came up with your famous red flag
yes,
video.
That was my very first video.
Did you know that was going to be a hit, or was just like, or was it about consistency? Like, I'm going to make a couple of like, I'm going to take 100 swings at the at the plate, and one will hit, and we'll see what happens. Like, you
No,
made this, you're
honestly.
like, this is going to blow up, or you're just was
No,
like
that
anything?
one, after that was when I really committed,
Okay.
because I was just making them because I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
So that one, I didn't think it was I wasn't like this is a banger. I made it. I thought it was funny, and it was a banger. So
Okay.
it just worked. And then after that is when I really started committing to, I posted one video every single day for like 6 months straight. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger with time.
Yeah.
And just exposure, right? Just repetition
Yeah,
over
and-
and over again.
And now it's grown, like you were saying before, but I want you to tell me again about, this kind of, like the Drew Afualo is a whole industrial complex now. It's
Yeah.
not just you.
Yeah.
Tell me about like the business behind the scenes.
Sure.
It's fascinating because I think with the creator economy, many people think it's just someone with a phone.
Yeah.
But it's becoming so sophisticated and like
Yeah.
becoming like companies. Like, tell me, break this down, because you have so many
Yeah.
different arms and different revenue streams. It's
Yeah.
very
I think-
very diversified revenue stream.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to other creators about it too. I've asked them, like, it really just depends on what your goals are. So if you're cool with just getting brand deals and posting videos, promoting products
Yeah.
and making money that way, that's great. If you want to grow past that, you got to grow a team. So like you need more than just like one manager. So for me, I had my agent first, and then brand deals were not an issue at all. Obviously, at the time when it really started hitting, I was getting lots of brand deal opportunities. But I told her I wanted to go to more events and I wanted to do, I wanted a show, I wanted a podcast, and that's how the comment section was born. And I was already doing Two Idiot Girls, and I wanted to do more hosting, which is why the comment section was important for me. Because when I first started the comment section, I was making $0 because I was making very little money off that show because it was more of a brand building thing for me. I wanted people to see that I could talk for long periods of time. I could talk to other people. I could interview celebrity talent.
Yeah, you're back to being a journalist again.
Exactly, yeah. So I felt like that was an extension of my content, but also was showing me in a different light. And so when I hosted the Oscars carpet for TikTok, that was because of my show. So the person who pitched me, her boss who approves talent, watched my show a lot and said like, okay, she's great, but I want to see her in a live setting. And so I hosted the live for Black Adam, the movie premiere. And they watched that and then he approved me. So it's like, in order to grow past just being an influencer, like you have to, open other roll balls in other directions.
And that was big, and that was with The Rock.
Yes.
Who's another Samoan.
Yes.
So that must have been very cool, like a very kind of like
full circle
thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was great. I've met him a couple times now, and he's always lovely and amazing. And the first time was on the Black Adam carpet, and I had said too, if I was going to do that, wanted to wear something that was traditionally made by a Samoan person, which I did. And I took my boyfriend, and he was wearing a traditional Samoan cultural outfit. It's called an iawhai kanga. And so he wore that on the carpet, and we were photographed, and then I got to talk to The Rock, and it was very full circle, very cultural for the people.
I'm Italian. I want to wear Italian suits, but I can't afford them, so I have to wear the knockoffs.
Fancy.
In terms of your show, you've had some, on the comment section, you've had some huge guests. Chappell Roan.
Yes.
And she's huge, blowing up. Like, how do you have like a team that books these people, or do you reach out yourself, or do you have like a hit list of like a dream list of like, I want all these folks? Like, how does that come about? I do have a dream guest list for sure. I do. Obviously as the show has grown, it's like the pool has opened even more, which is wonderful. Chappell, I booked. I messaged her. She and I have been online friends for a minute, so I just asked her if she wanted to come. I asked her right before she like really exploded, which I guess I got her at the perfect time. Perfect. You got it. You're a tastemaker.
Yeah, but she and I are really cool, and we love each other. So, we love each other's content and art and everything. My content, her art. Yes. Imagine I'm calling mine art. And so I book her. I've booked a lot of our biggest guests, like Meghan Trainor and like Muna and a lot of those.
Yeah, she's from Nantucket. I didn't know she's from Nantucket and Cape Cod. That's very cool.
Meghan Trainor?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my girl. I love her. But like they honestly, they found me online. Like they just really, really love my content and they just think I'm funny. So I just said, you want to come hang with me and talk and giggle for like an hour? And they're like, hell yeah. So they came, and I do have a talent booking team though. I have a personal talent booker. She's my assistant as well. And then I also, Spotify has a booking team for me.
Have you always been funny? You're like the class clown? You always like talking shit to the guys when they were trying to like, were you?
Yeah, I mean,
You're always talking trash to the guys and putting them in their place, like in middle school and high school?
Yes. The short answer to that is yes, very much so. As far as like being funny, I think I've always loved attention and to entertain. So worked out that I did this for a living.
When you do your podcast, how do you prep for a guest? Do you kind of go in there and just assume you know the person, and would you do like a lot of research and like read up on what is your prep time when you're doing these? Because you're like a talk show host.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
I guess I am now too. So this is
look
good.
at you.
Wow.
I think
dreams come true.
Everyone I have is someone that I like love. Like I love their content, or I love their art, or both, or all of it. And honestly, this is like sometimes shocking for people to hear. Every single one of my guests that I've ever had, with the exception of maybe 2, I met 10 minutes before we started. So like we met, we said hi, they set everything up while we sit there, and I'm just like, how's your day been? Good. And then we start.
Organic, natural.
It looks like we've been best friends for years, but that's just being good at your job.
That's good. It comes natural. You're a natural at it. What, if you could go back in time right now to right before you're going to post that red flag video, what advice would you tell yourself about this life? Maybe the good of being a creator, the downside, because I know obviously you get crazy, used to, with your TikTok stuff, we would get crazy hate, crazy trolls.
Yeah.
Like, what advice would you give your slightly younger self? Because this has happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I would tell myself to go to therapy and go sooner than when I did. I'm in therapy now, but like I didn't go until I think I was like a year and a half in of doing this full time. The problems that you encounter with this job are not problems that you would ever encounter no matter how many jobs you've had. And I feel like that's a misconception about influencers because I didn't get famous at 14. So like I got famous in 25. So I was a full grown adult.
Full adult,
I went to college, I graduated, I worked many normal jobs. I worked in service, I worked in 9 to 5 and everything in between. So I had many normal jobs. I was an aggressively normal person before this happened to me. And I was a fully formed adult. And I think...
Yeah, not a child actor.
No, not a child in any way, shape, or form. I was fully an adult and in a grown-up relationship and everything by the time this happened to me. And the mental toll that it takes, not even just hate, because getting hate online is a whole nother issue, but I think also it's just what comes with being perceived at a very large scale. It's very hard, and it's something that no human alive can deal with on their own with no help, because we're not meant to be seen by that many people all the time. And so, I think I would tell my slightly younger self to lock in and also to go to therapy.
Gotcha. And it's almost like it's fame, right? It's like the curse of fame.
Essentially, yeah.
What has your therapist said that helped, or in terms of what is the exercises or just the mindset that helped you? Because I think that could help a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, well, when dealing with hate, I think like just troll kind of hate.
Yeah.
I've told people, that you could be the nicest, most PC, perfect looking person in the entire universe. You could never be mean to anyone, and they're still gonna hate you. Yeah. Like you're still gonna get a random person going, I don't know, I just hate your vibe.
Yeah.
And they don't know you've never met you. And so like someone I use as an example is Emily Mariko. I don't know if you're familiar with her content. No. She makes cooking content. She doesn't talk in her videos. She has never spoken in her videos.
Oh, yes, I've heard. Yeah, okay.
Literally ever. She's talked like maybe once, and they hate her. Like they'll write like, oh, I hate this girl. She doesn't even talk. Like, and I'm the complete opposite. I go and I antagonize people on purpose.
Yes, that's
so
extreme.
Obviously I'm gonna get hate.
You're going more than talking.
I go in and I swing.
Yeah.
I spray a crowd. Like that's what I do. So if I were shocked at getting hate, that would be hypocritical of me. But I think when people are entering this world of influencing, it doesn't matter like how nice you are. You are still gonna get hate regardless. Yes. So you have to make peace with that and understand that the content you're making and why you're doing it is not for the people who are looking for a reason to hate you. It's for other people who need you.
I've had that on a minor scale, just even writing stories, not even about me. I'm writing about someone else and someone's talking trash about me in the comment section. And I'm like, I'm just the writer, man. Come on. I can't imagine what you do, like really putting yourself out there.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. And it's unfortunately just the nature of the internet. So I think making peace with that early on is important, and especially if you want to keep doing it and keep growing. As far as, what my therapist has told me in dealing with being perceived by millions of people, is she reminds me all the time that like, my emotions are not, when they're alerting me to feeling uncomfortable or feeling anxious, they're not bad. They're just alerting me to something my needs need to be met and they're not being met. So I need to be better at holding boundaries when it comes to being in public or meeting fans in public. I need to assert my boundaries in order to have my needs met so that I don't feel like I'm like a caged animal. Because sometimes it does feel like that when you're being perceived at a very large scale.
Well, thanks for coming on stage at Forbes. We appreciate all that.
Of course, anytime.
Coming up here. Let's talk, the creator business is changing so much. Like, what are you learning about business? What advice are you going to give to, obviously you have, we talked about this before, but you have the book and your great book and your podcast. And that's kind of like, guaranteed, like contract, guaranteed income, and then you have brand deals, which are like one-offs. Like what is like the creator economy look like for you right now? And like, what are you seeing? What trends? What advice do you have people? Because I'm sure there's millions of people that want to, even all the nightmares you're sharing, want to be an influencer and creator. There's millions of them. So like, what are you seeing? True. What advice?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like, well, first off, when it comes to podcasting, I have been getting that question a lot too. Like I want to write a podcast, or I want to start a podcast. How do I get started? Like, what's some tips for it to be successful. I've advised people now the podcast market is extremely saturated.
Yes.
Everybody has one now. I have two, right? So everybody has one. But
I once saw a great cartoon that said, said, I feel like everyone's podcasting and no one's listening. And I think it's 'cause it's too easy. I mean, anyone could, all you need is a phone.
It's the new thing, right? Which is the nature of trends and popularity. And the advice I've given people specifically about the podcasting aspect is before you buy anything, before you invest in an editor or equipment or lighting or set or anything like that, just set up your phone and record yourself talking for 45 minutes.
Okay.
With no help, no guest, just pick one topic, talk for 45 minutes. And if you can't do that, then podcasting is probably not in the cards for you, and that's okay. I have enough yap in me to fuel 2 shows where I have 1 episode a week. So and
you're putting extras on Patreon.
And I'm making content at the same time, and I'm writing and I'm interviewing. So I have the gift of gab. Not everybody has that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I do say too that aspiring to be an influencer, the feeling around that feels really icky. I think it depends on what you want to accomplish. If the goal is to just make a lot of money and get free shit, this is not the place for you.
No.
You're not. It's not going to work. You're not going to grow, and you're not going to grow an audience because nobody wants to support someone who only wants free things.
Yes.
So it's you have to have something that you want to say, or something that you want to contribute, or something that you want to affect or change. And I think there are so many people in the world that are looking for someone who looks like you. If someone, is marginalized, nobody looks like me. And that's why, for me to be a woman who's growing in media, but I'm not known for being a football player or WWE wrestler.
Yes.
That's very new. And it's representation, and representation is important. So I always like to encourage people to create, but create because you want to, not because you want something. You should create your content or your art or whatever it is because you feel like you have something to say and contribute and strike change or something in the world, not because you want to get on brand trips. That's not why you should be creating content.
And you have to and also podcasts. I feel like I think the days are over where you can just be oh, I'm talking about a subject. I feel like you have to bring an audience. You have to be big. You have to be famous to some level.
Yeah.
Then you can start podcasting and bring the audience.
Yeah.
It's very hard to just be oh, I'm Steve and I'm really into XYZ. You're not going to get found. And
even there are some influencers too that have tried podcasting and they hate it. They're actually, I hate talking for that long. I don't want to do that at all. So it's not for everyone, and that's okay. I've told people the best thing, if you really want to grow an audience or you really feel that strongly that you have something to say, it's to lean into being, it sounds so corny, but to be authentically who you are. There's only one Emma Chamberlain. She's done.
Yeah.
Hey, there's only one. She's got it. There's only one me. You know what I mean? There's only one Brittany Broski. There's only one of us.
Don't be doing an impersonation of
exactly. I think when people see trends, especially as influencers or whatever, the goal is to copy what seems to be working, but it works for that person because that person is speaking to people on a very specific level. There's not many people that do what I do. No. So obviously I stuck out a little bit more than probably, if I was lifestyle or beauty or whatever. But also that's not my passion. Makeup and hair, I hire someone to do it for me. I don't like to sit and document it because
you don't know how to do it.
That's not my passion, right? So I think leaning into what makes you so uniquely you is the way that people grow followings. That really good people, I'll say. That's how good people grow followings.
Back full circle, back to the NFL with your following, popularity, your show.
Yeah.
If ESPN called you to do some football analysis, would that be something you want to do?
Hell yeah. God, hit me up. I would love to do that. Put me on the table. I want to sit at the little desk at the TNF Thursday Night Football. I want to sit there at the desk.
There you go. I endorse you. I think it's going to happen. We're going to put that in the universe.
Thank you.
I want your advice on something. So this is a new show we're doing on Top Creators. I'm excited because Forbes is we're a great brand business, right? And I feel like a lot of creators and the creator economy isn't getting enough respect. And we want to kind of create a show for business, for creators, show for creators by creators.
Yeah.
What would you want to know? If you're going to tune into the sports center of the creator economy, what kind of conversations you want to have? What information do you want to hear from other people?
Oh.
You can put your creator and your NFL hat on for this one.
Sure. I mean, as a creator, like at the level I'm at now, I would love to hear more from industry people on how they see incorporating influencers or social media people in general more so as the worlds start blending. I would love to see, because
what do you mean by what's an industry person? What do you mean by that?
Like for people who work at either brands, or if they work in like TV or film, or if they work at Forbes, or if they work, all these big outlets, whether they're media outlets or they're production. I'm curious to see how they see the future of integrating influencers into their worlds, because one of the first questions I ask when I work with people, like for example, my lawyer, when I have a fantastic lawyer, but when I first met with her, I asked her, like, do you have a lot of experience working with influencers? Same thing with my literary agent. Do you have a lot of experience working with influencers? It's very different. Like the way that we move, the way I would move as opposed to someone who is a traditional actor, like went to school for theater and got an agent and then now works as a full-time actor. The way we move in the industry is completely different. And also, like, what is your plan as far as incorporating more representation for people that don't all look the same? How do
you move different than a traditional actor?
I think for me, I have to be very cognizant of how I'm being perceived online. I think a lot of traditional celebrities can ignore how they're being perceived online. I can't. So it matters to me how I'm being marketed through, whether it's a production company, a brand, whatever it may be, even a media outlet too. It matters how I'm being perceived, because the majority of my following comes from the internet.
Gotcha.
There are some celebrities that can have the worst things being said about them on the internet, and it doesn't matter. They're going to be okay.
Yeah,
I don't have that luxury.
They're like, we don't even have social media.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I don't even pay attention to comments. I do. I have to. It's my job, right? And I care that my audience feels taken care of and feels like, that everything is as is. Like, it's all business as usual with me.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
What do you want to learn from other creators, like of your echelon, of your level?
Ooh, I just love to know what they're doing. I love to know their tea. Like a lot of creators don't like to share like the different things that they've been working on, which I get. Like there's obviously like some of my best friends are creators, so like we share everything with each other, what we're doing. But I would love to know more about like what they're working on and how they got it, because I think sharing is caring.
There you go.
I'm a big, like, I think sometimes there is a scarcity mindset to be had where they're like, oh, if too many people are here, then no one's going to see me. I don't feel that way at all, because I quite honestly feel like I'm going to shine regardless. So the more the merrier.
Take me out of the show here with, what are you working on now? Give me your tea.
Oh, yeah.
You gave me some, some breadcrumbs on the other interview with you, but what's the latest with you? The book is done.
Yes, the book is done.
Success. What's next?
Definitely TV. I've been making some moves with TV, been doing some auditioning.
Comedy?
Yeah, actually.
Would you play yourself, or would you go into
I'm
role?
Playing someone else. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is very exciting.
Any other hints? Is it like a period piece? You're playing like a
I wish it was
settler,
a period piece.
You're I don't know. Old Victorian England.
Oh man, I'd be so good.
Was it Bridgerton?
Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Put me in House of the Dragon. I want to be in there.
Oh, who doesn't want that?
Put me in there. Who cares? Put me in there somewhere. I don't care. Yeah. No, it's not a period piece. It definitely takes place in the here and now. But I was also in a commercial recently that's going to be airing in like a month, I think, for another sports entity that is not the NFL.
Oh, okay.
So
we have to wait and see for that one.
Yeah, you'll have to wait and see.
Pickleball, bull riding?
No, they won a gold medal this year, though. So.
Oh, okay. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, Drew, thank you so much for joining us. It was really fun.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.